Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm making an update video to my favorite method for rescuing Netgear devices. I previously thought that they were only this only worked on certain routers, but after posting my hack method, which as you can see here on the screen, it's an unofficial method for recovering Netgear routers and devices. Basically, after releasing this into YouTube, I had a lot of people giving me feedback in the comments section telling me that, hey, this worked for this router, this worked for that router, and a lot more routers than I thought they would work on. I only had I have like 7 Netgear routers that are different models, and this works on all of them. I found out that it works on a lot more and probably works on all their devices, including the extenders and access points, which was a surprise to me. I've had people tell me about that and tell me that it worked to recover those. Now, I don't know why they needed to be recovered, but this method worked. In fact, I only use this method to recover or revert my routers. I don't use the official Netgear process, but I have a video for that up here. I'll put a link for that as well. Also, if neither one of these things work for you, I'll put a link up here also for a serial recovery that I did on an R9000, which I think will probably work on most other routers if you follow the same procedure. The tool is called NMRP Flash. It's based on Netgear's NMRP protocol, and it's a third-party tool, and it works, like I said, really well. And here's the number of routers that they have listed that it fixes. I've added another bunch down here, as you can see, to the list. And as far as I know, there's probably a lot more. Now, if yours gets fixed by this process, put it in the video comment section below this video. Tell me, basically, I'll put the next slide here. If this procedure worked for you, put it in a note in the comments section below stating that it worked, the model number of your router, which Netgear it was, the version if you can, and the firmware that you used to do it as well. That, again, this will help other people to know, oh yeah, well, Joe had a, R9000 and it worked for him. And it's like, great, all right, I'll try this process. It worked for somebody else. And that gives people confidence to go ahead. And also it lets everybody know that it works on all these devices. And perhaps they'll go, well, mine's not on the list, but I'll try it anyway, right? Gives people confidence, and I appreciate that if you put comments in the comment section below. The person that gave me the heads up on this was Legarer, right here, this gentleman. And he basically told me on my Netgear R6700 video in which I was using this tool, this worked on a EX3700 Wi-Fi range extender. And I said, whoa, that's cool. I didn't think it would work on range extenders, but it does. So making this video is an update to tell people that it's not just routers that it works on. It seems to work on a lot of Netgear devices. Not bad, right? But again, this one works on all of mine, and it works every time. And it doesn't matter how I mess them up, or if I just want to take, in this case, we'll be taking OpenWRT off an R9000. But the procedure again is exactly the same to recover it and return it back to stock and have it running again. So let's go next here. So first thing we're going to do is plug an Ethernet cable into the back of the router. And again, in my case, it's an R9000. And plug the other side of that Ethernet cable into the back of your computer. Again, Ethernet is the only way to do this. Maybe you can do it through Wi-Fi, but I would never recommend that. We're only going to do Ethernet. If you don't have an Ethernet card in your computer, but you got USB-A or USB-C ports on it, like a laptop or even a PC, you can buy Ethernet adapters that are USB, 1 gigabit, and they also come in 2.5 gigabits. And you can, for under $10 currently, and the price will change over time, but regardless, there is a USB-A dedicated. This one's USB-A dedicated as well, but it converts to USB-C, so you get the best of both worlds. Now, I'll put links for these in the video description below. Please use those to help the channel. They're affiliate links. And, again, that helps me stay on here and make more excellent videos like this. So we've got the router plugged in, and well, you know, could be an extender as well. This is my 7000 here, R7000, and it is one of my favorite routers. It just rocks solid, and it's been really stable and fast. So, but I only use third-party firmware in it because the stock firmware is now end of life, which means it's vulnerable to exploits on the internet. I use DD-WRT, but in this case, there's OpenWRT on it. There's a bunch of others that will work on this router. Again, this is just reverting it back, making it work again. I'm assuming that you're having a problem, or you want to take the router or extender back to a stock device. But I don't recommend running end-of-life firmware. It's not a good idea, okay? So next thing we got to do is go get a bunch of software. And so we'll get on the internet here. I like using, and people have noticed this, I like using Incognito or private windows, primarily because I notice that browsers get messed up when you're playing around with routers. And if you're using Incognito, you just shut it off, open up another Incognito, and the browser's reset, and it works, right? So I definitely recommend doing that. So first thing we're going to do, and I'll put this stuff all in a notepad here, and I'll put these notes in the video description below, is go get the Netgear firmware for your device. In my case, it's an R7000, so all you got to do is just, well, all I'm going to do is Netgear R7000 and firmware. Whatever device you have, just follow this kind of example. Right. Again, it's got to be Netgear too. So here's the main page for that router. Let's go there. That's usually the easiest way to find it. Scroll down and you'll see a bunch of downloads, right? Again, I don't go with the latest firmware. I go with the oldest firmware, and then you can upgrade it after that if you want to use the stock stuff. So look at this, view previous 42 versions. Wow. So anyways, I'm going to the old versions down here. So you click on this little icon here, scroll to the bottom, and you can see firmware version 10.0096. That would be the first one. I'm going to take that, download it. I'm going to put it in, let's see, where shall we put it? Well, let's make a new folder in my downloads directory. NMRP Flash. We'll put it there and open that up. There we go. Save it. We'll extract it in a minute. Right now, we're just gathering the pieces, the tools and the firmware we need. So hit save. And then that's it for the firmware. Again, get the appropriate one for you. And remember, some of these have different versions on them too. Like you might have a V1 or V2 or V3. Make sure you get the right version for your router, or else it's just going to either mess it up or not work correctly. And again, just all you got to do is do this procedure again and put the right firmware in, and you're off to the races, right? So that's a great thing about this. It just rescues you every time. And I will show you at the end of this video how to make what they call a batch file, a DOS batch file, that will automate this process for you. So if you're fooling around with a lot of firmware on your router, all you got to do is right-click that file, run it as the administrator, and it will reflash your router back to stock, which is a really nice thing. So we've got the R7000 firmware. Next, we're going to go to NMRP. So just type in NMRP Flash. That's all you got to do, and search for that on Google. And you'll see that mine comes up with GitHub, J. Lenner, basically this link. So we're going to go to this web page, and it's not readily obvious where this is. Okay, so you're going to have to scroll through this down to here where he explains the NMRP Flash utility, and right here in that explanation, here, right, is the link for the Windows, again, the Windows pre-packaged tool, right? This is also available for Linux and Mac OS as well, so you can do it on those operating systems, but I'm doing it on Windows, and I'm assuming you are too, right? But, it does work on those other operating systems. So I'm going to right-click on this and open that link in a new tab. And there we have it there. Now, I'm going back to the previous page, and I'm going to open this link, which is NPCAP, which is another piece of software that you need to make all this work. So right-click that and open that in a new tab as well. All right. So I'm going to download the NPCAP first, which is right here, NPCAP installer 1.86 for Windows. So this may change over time, the version number, but let's just install it. So I'm going to download that again in my NMRP Flash folder. And let's go back here over to the release, the Windows release for the NMRP Flash tool. And I'm getting the Win32 version of this. That's another reason why I'm remaking this video. They've upgraded. This is the newest version of NMRP Flash, and they didn't keep the same switches for the application as it was before. In other words, they reconfigured how the tool works. So my old videos with this version of NMRP Flash wouldn't work correctly, but I'll show you how to make it work correctly with this version. So that's another reason why I'm updating the video. So let's go get that. There we go. And same directory. There we go. All right. Now, I guess I can come over here and just say open the directory. Here, open the folder. So we'll do that. Okay, so these are zip files, and they need to be uncompressed. They need to be unzipped. Now, there's two ways to do that. You can just double click the file, copy it like this, go back to the root directory or wherever you want to put it, and just hit paste. All right. Now, the other way you can do it, which I find to be a little more complicated, is right click it and choose extract all. Then you get everything in that folder. But I'm not doing that one because, like I said, I don't need everything in the folder. All I need is the check file here. So I'm going to hit copy. Now, this I've been asked about as well. Oh, my Netgear doesn't have a check file. My Netgear has a bin file. Well, this works with a bin file as well. So if you have I think my R9000 uses a bin file. So whatever yours comes to, use it. If it's a bin file, it'll work. If it's a check file, it should work as well. Well, it definitely will work. I'll show you that right here. So I copied it. Here, I'm going to paste it. So basically what I'm doing is putting everything in the NMRP Flash folder, basically to make it simple, because we're going to run the NMRP Flash program, but it runs in DOS. So again, be patient. Here we're going to double click the NPCAP software, the exe. Oops. And we're going to install that. Here I'm going to hit agree. And just go with the defaults. If you want to change this stuff, you can, I guess. I don't know, I never would flash a router through wireless adapters, so I just go with the defaults and I leave it alone. Hit install. Let's minimize this. And there it is installing. And this all goes into add remove programs. You can uninstall it if you wish. Here you can hit next. Hit finish. That's it. That's all you got to do with that one. Here we're going to do the same thing with NMRP Flash. Just double click it. Hit yes to the... There we go. Okay. And looks like it's working. It just runs. We're just going to run this in DOS. You'll see this in a second. What we're going to do here next is open up a DOS window or a command window or whatever you want to call it. And CLI, some people call it. Anyway, so type in CMD into your search. You'll get command prompt. Run it as administrator. Click yes to the prompt. Okay, so what we need to do next is change directories here to where all our software is. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is, see this address bar up here? Just click on that outside of the words and stuff, and it'll give you the actual path on your C drive. So highlight it all, copy it. Over here, we're going to type in CD, so Charlie Delta, CD, space, and then just Control V here or right click, and it'll paste that in. Then we're going to hit enter. All right. And like I said, I will show you how to do this with a batch file, but first you got to figure out what the parameters are before you can make the batch file. So, and since this is my first time doing it on this drive, it's going to be different. So we've got it here. Now we do a dir. There we go, directory. And now you see that we're in the right directory. There's NMRP Flash is there, and so is the R9000V blah, blah, blah check file that we need to use as the firmware file for the router. And so here, what we're going to do, and actually I'll quickly just show you the router running right now. I go to 192.168.1.1. That's where it is, and you can see, if all of you who know OpenWRT, there it is, running OpenWRT. And again, we're going to revert it back to stock. So I just wanted to show you that quick. So back to the command line. We've got everything in there. Next thing we're going to do is type in NMRP Flash, just like that, and hit enter. And the reason we're doing that, and I'll open this up a little bit more, is to show you all the switches and commands, right, that there are available, which we're going to use one. But again, the other thing that it does is it gives you a sample, script for running this. So that makes it easier. So I'm just going to copy that and just copy it for now. Now, NMRP Flash, if you see here, it says ETH0. We need to find out what Ethernet adapter the router is on. Okay, so prior to doing any of that, what I'm going to do is shut all my networking down except for the adapter running on that router or connected to that router. So Wi-Fi is going to be off. Shut yours off. You want to be isolated to the actual device itself. So shut that off there. And let's go look at my network connections. So view network connections if you want to see your network connections. Most people don't have two Ethernet adapters in their computer, but I do. And we're going to undo this one, which is basically my connection to, or disable it, is my connection to the internet through Ethernet. And I got the other Ethernet adapter plugged into this router, and I'm just going to pull the cable out of the router, and you can see that, that's a good way to verify, do I have the right one off? All right, okay. I plug it back into the router and back up again. So now I'm only connected to this thing through the Ethernet, right? So next thing we're going to do is type NMRP Flash again, and space, and then we're going to put in I think it's a hyphen, and a capital L, right? So if you look at your switches up here, the capital L is list network interfaces. We need to know what network interface to get this thing to run on. So we're going to just type in that, hit enter. Oops. Helps if you do it right, spell it right. NMRP Flash, there we go. And you see that I've got two Wi-Fis and two Ethernets and one Ethernet. And that's what matters right there. All those others are Wi-Fi. I don't know why they're still there. I thought I turned that off, but I guess not. There we go. Pretty sure I did turn that off. I don't know how that happened. Let's do that command one more time. Still there. Anyway, doesn't matter. What matters is that the Ethernet is right there. This is the Ethernet port. And the IP address doesn't matter. All that matters is this, ETH4. Okay. So back up here. I think it should still be there. No, it's not. Let's copy that command that we had. There we go. Copy it. All right. So let's put it in here, and we're going to modify this a little bit. Here we're on ETH4. So basically the switch here, the I is interface. So this interface is Ethernet 4. The firmware, we're going to put in the firmware that we have, that I've downloaded. You put yours in. So we'll start with that. I'm going to scroll up here. I did list it all. You should have listed it too. Just copy that file right there, the check file. Go back down here, right click, and there's the check file. Now there's one more switch we need to put in here, and you may or may not need it, but I find that it really helps, and that is a basically the time switch, which you can see right here, timeout switch. There's two of them. We want the small t timeout, all right, and it's in milliseconds, so again, it's thousandths of a second. So again, I'm going to put this in dash t and space, and then a number like 77,000. That should be about 77 seconds. So that should be more enough of a pause. Why do I do that? Because when you power up the router, which is how you get this router to go sniffing for this tool, it takes a little while, and sometimes NMRP Flash will time out, and then you got to start the whole process again, right? Luckily, it's not that hard to do. But there's a command that I need. After you find out what Ethernet port you're on, then put that in there. Definitely put the time for 7700 there, or 77,000, and then put your check file in again at the end. Always a space after every switch, okay? So at this point, I'm going to hit enter, and that'll start the process, and then I'll power up the router after that. So there we go. It says waiting for Ethernet. I'm going to power up the router. And timing is tricky sometimes. My R9000, sometimes I have to start it and stop it and start it again to get it to work. There we go. And it's advertising NMRP server on ETH4 because it just noticed that the router turned on, or that the Ethernet connection started up. So there, receive configuration request, sending the configuration. Again, we don't have to do anything with IP addresses or anything like that. That's what I really like about this process. There's no configuring network cards or anything like that. It's just automatic. You power up the router, you start up this tool, then you power up the router, and it just happens, and it's amazing. So here we're going to go through the installation of the check file, and I'll probably speed this up, but it's going to go all the way through. Usually it verifies it. We'll see if it does here. The biggest issue you may have is that it doesn't start the process of doing this automatically when you boot your router, because your firmware is so messed up that this doesn't even go automatically. So again, back to those links that I put earlier, and I will put them at the end of the video as well in the cards. Do a serial, the official rescue, see if that works for you, and if that doesn't work for you and this doesn't work for you, then look at my serial video on rescuing an R7000, and it might work for your device as well. Okay, so 92, this does take a while, and if you look at the router, this is what mine looks like. Orange light over here, blinking light on Ethernet, and it just going to keep doing that. There. So now it's waiting for a response from this device, and you need to leave this running until it says, we're done, right? Right now, it says receive keep alive request. It'll count through that. And when it's done, you'll see what happens, and we'll reboot it, and it'll show you the router working. It really is an amazing process. And like I said, this is the only way I ever revert a Netgear router or rescue a Netgear router. There you go. It's done. It says remote is finished, remote finished, closing connection, reboot your device now. Well, we're going to do just that. Shut it off and then turn it back on again. Now, it takes a little while for that to happen. Now, I told you we're going to make a batch file. So while that's rebooting, I'm just going to open up a notepad. And yeah, you make a batch file using Notepad. It's pretty cool. I wonder how many programs you can actually create just using Notepad. Anyway, let's go back up here to the top. We've got all we need here. Now, first thing we got to get is the path, right? So the first command we did was cd c Windows users blah 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 NMRP Flash. Copy your command there that took you over. So we're going to put that here in thought I clicked it again there. All right. There we go. So that's the first thing that the batch file is going to do. It's going to CD to that folder. Then the next thing it's going to do is the Flash program command, which is right here, NMRP Flash. Just take all that, copy it, drop it into here, and then we're just going to hit paste it, put a space there, and you can see this is coming up automatically because the router's already rescued, and I'll show you that now. There's what it looks like now, right? Pretty cool. All the lights running in stock with the stock firmware, and we'll finish up here this up here in a minute, but I'll show you the router running. And it was 192.168.1.1 last time. It's still that number. Hit enter, and the R9000 Netgear Genie thing. You know, again, I want to configure. No, I'm going to configure the internet myself. Okay, and it's going to ask you for a username and password. Sometimes it does this. You can reset it, and then it'll go to the default setup. I believe it's admin and password. So that's the default for Netgear. Let's see if that works. Yep, there you go. And there's the router working. Again, with the stock firmware, I would upgrade this to the highest level possible. In fact, I would upgrade it to third-party firmware like DD-WRT or OpenWRT or anything but the stock stuff, because that's end of life, right? So that's the router rescue. And back to the batch file just to finish that off. What we're going to do here is save this. I'm going to save it as. And I'm going to put it in my downloads NMRP Flash folder because we put everything there. And let's see if this has a batch. Okay, I'm going to change that to all files. And then at the end of this, well, look at, that's not what I want to call it. I'm going to call it NMRP Flash R9000 because that makes more sense. So R9000, and I'll say stock for stock firmware. And at the end, instead of TXT, what you're going to have is BAT. Just type in BAT as in flying batch file. And then here we're going to hit save. And now you've created a batch file that does this for you. And I'll show you that working next. And then we'll wrap it up. So close this off. Now we've got the stock batch file right there. Right click it. Run it as administrator. Say yes to the question. There it is, just waiting. So what I'm going to do now is power off the router, power it back on. You'll see, okay, let me show you the lights too, what's going on. There we go. All the lights are flashing. They're actually kind of orange reddish. And there we go. Ta-da. Now it's being flashed up. Sorry for the reflection on that. It's there. There. You can see it working perfectly, exactly as it should. So that's how you make the batch file. Like I said, first do it manually and then copy the steps that you made to make it happen into Notepad. Save it as a batch file. Off you go. Run it as administrator. I find that real handy because, you know, I'm always experimenting with these routers. So that's it for the R9000 rescue, but it's really the Netgear rescue. It works on all my routers. I've got it all the way up to an R9000 and down to a WNR 2000 version 1, which is like 12 years old. So from ancient to more modern routers, Netgear routers, this works, including you know, extenders or access points. So it's not limited just to routers. Pretty cool. I'm interested to see what we rescue here. So again, put that stuff in the comment section. If it rescued your router, do everybody a favor, including me, and list on the comment section what your router was, what version it was, you know, maybe any, you know, information you want to put in there, like, hey, it was toast, it wasn't booting up anymore, this rescued it. And also maybe put the file version in there as well, but definitely your model number and the version of the model number that you have, if it's applicable. And that'll help everybody else to see, and we'll basically create a whole new list. Let's fix thousands of these. I'd be more than happy to do so. And you can see it here. The batch file's working, no problem. All right. So when that's done, and I'll just reboot it and we'll rock and roll. Okay. Once again, and like always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something in this video, and hopefully we rescue thousands of routers around the world from going into, the recycling or the garbage bin or the landfill, wherever they end up. And we keep them running for very, very long times. Again, in end of life Netgear devices, completely recommend to upgrade it to a third-party firmware. I have a lot of videos on how to do that. I will be making more on how to do it on my Netgear routers. I've done it on a few already, so I'll wait for those in the future. And I'll show you a few tips and tricks all the way along as well. But regardless, that's it for my video. Again, comment section, use that. Anything you want to say to me, any suggestions, and of course, definitely list if this worked for you in the comment section, because that's gold. Also in the video description, links for the hardware, and I'll probably put the notepad instructions in here as well for the batch file and for doing this. Okay, that's it for my video. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, give me a thumbs up. Click the like button at the bottom down there, bottom right, I believe, and that helps me on YouTube and helps YouTube to know that this is a good video, and then it will be shared to other people, which will help other people. So by giving me a like, you're actually helping other people as well as me. So I really appreciate that as well. If you like my content, want to see more of it, definitely subscribe to the channel as part of the process. Hit the bell icon. That bell icon is the notification bell. It will then notify, YouTube will then notify you every time I put up a new video, and you can watch it at your own leisure. Once again, and like always, take care of yourself. Stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you in the next video.